Today we're going to look at how to use text-to-speech on Chromebooks. So our first job is to go into accessibility settings. So we're going to go down to where the time and the Wi-Fi are. We're going to click on the cog to go to settings. And here's where all the settings are for your Chromebook. We're going to scroll down though today and go to advanced to the accessibility features. Now I do like to have this first option turned on, and what that does is it gives you a little shortcut. And you may have noticed this shortcut here for accessibility, and I can click and easily turn items on or off. And you'll see there's a lot of options: high contrast mode, magnifier. So there's quite a bit here, but the settings over on this section are going to give us some more fine tuning. So let's go to manage accessibility features, and you can always scroll through here and see what options there are, like the high contrast. For my touchpad and mouse, I was able to get this larger icon, this larger cursor, and the little red dot so it's easier to see. But let's go ahead and look at text-to-speech. So this first option, Chromebooks, this is going to be for students that are vision impaired. It's going to read everything on the page. If there's a picture, it's going to read some alternative text. If there's a graph, it's going to read what kind of information is there. And we're today just looking at the audio supports for reading, and that is the select to speech. So this is on, and right below are some different settings. This is where you can change the language, and you can have it read English to you, but you can also translate things on the page to Spanish, and then you'd want a Spanish speaker to read that to you. I'm going to leave mine on English, and let's go ahead and skip this second section for a moment and come back, because here's where you can have the words highlighted in a different color. So it is going to put a big pink line around each paragraph, but each word as it's being read is also going to be highlighted. So let's go ahead and pick yellow. And now let's look at these settings here, because that's going to take us to a different page. And here are the speech properties. So how fast do I want that read? What pitch do I want it read? And how loud? And let's give that a sample. So that was really quick. So let's go ahead and turn that down to maybe 145 and maybe a little lower pitch, and we'll leave it loud, and let's give that a sample.
Hi there, I'm your text-to-speech voice.
Okay, that one I think I can handle. So let's go ahead and close and close. And this is going to work on a PDF. It's going to work on a website as well as a Google Doc. So this is a website with an article here about floating gardens. So I'm going to go where I want it to start. I'm going to click and drag my mouse. And to turn this on, I'm going to look at my keyboard. On the left side under the tab button is an icon called the search button. It looks like a magnifying glass. I'm going to hold that down and click on the letter S.
This floating farm in the Netherlands is taking sustainability to a whole other water level. The food industry is responsible for producing massive amounts of greenhouse gas emissions simply through transporting goods and produce into a city. In fact, 1 in 4 freight trucks on the highway is responsible for transporting food into urban areas.
So to make that stop, I'm just going to click the search icon again, that magnifying glass, and that turns it off. And when I did highlight my text, you'll notice it's all blue. Once it got started, I just clicked off of it, so it was no longer blue, so it was easier to see my highlighting. So that's how it works on a website. I did notice on some PDFs that the highlighting didn't quite work as intended, so let's give this a sample.
Space is often the biggest limitation. Think about how much space you have for growing. Once you select your vegetables, you will notice that some plants take more room to grow than others, and you will need to make some choices. For example, corn needs a lot of space and can overshadow.
So you'll see the highlighting's up in the corner. It's not highlighting each word, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. It doesn't seem to be consistent, so I'm looking into that. But it also does work on a Google Doc. So again, you can turn this feature on and off by going to your settings icon and clicking accessibility and turning the select to speak off and on. But if you do want to change things like the tone and the speed, that's where you would go to settings. You would go down to advanced, to accessibility, manage the features, and here are the different voice settings. And so that's where I can speed it up if I get used to it, change pitch and such, and then close that down. And again, on your keyboards, after you've selected your text, it's search and S to turn it on, and the search button to turn it off. Thanks.